Hello, 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 people. This is Founder Laerun. I am here with Lady Shel, and we are going to be going over and talking about the latest and greatest Fantasy Grounds Character Wizard. This is an extension. It's still kind of in beta. It is only for the D&D 5th edition rule set, and it is not in or available in Unity yet. So, without further ado, here's my co-host, Lady Shel. Hi,
Hey, Laerun, how you doing today?
I am good. How are you doing?
That was very robotic of you. I'm doing pretty fine. I'm doing very well, thank you.
Yes. So I'm pretty excited about this character wizard. I mean, I have mixed feelings about it. I checked it out yesterday. I'm not a pro at it, but I got a pretty good handle on it. And I understand that you tried it out. So what was your initial impression on it?
Yeah, I'm making some pre-gens for an upcoming game that I'm going to be running, and I did a couple of them in the character generator, and I thought it was very fast, and you don't have to go by a certain order of how to do things. And you can kind of correct if you somehow double up on your skills, you can go back and change things. So it's a lot more forgiving than the regular way of doing things. Um, I have not tried doing the inventory part because I used Rob Tui's background and class equipment bundle that he has that allows you to just drag everything in through the parcels based on your class and background. But other than that, I built everything else, and it saves. And then as soon as you click save, it gives you your sheet right in front of you, which we will see when you do one.
Nice. Yeah, when I tried it, it does do a lot of those things that I would hope that it really speeds up the character creation process. My only issue is that it kind of robs the end user on how things go together in Fantasy Grounds. So if you were going to create your own classes, let's say, it puts a further disconnect from people that are trying to learn how Fantasy Grounds works. But if you don't mind and you don't really care about that sort of thing, then this character wizard will make life easier on you as an end user for a player. But as far as teaching goes, it kind of skips a lot of the fundamentals that Fantasy Grounds is about, which is a lot of the drag and drop functionality and such. But there again, if you're pressed for time or you just want to play, this is a good tool for that. But if you're going to be a developer or someone who wants to actually understand how Fantasy Grounds works, I think the old method really gives you that experience and that exposure to how Fantasy Grounds was set up. But there again, time versus, knowledge type thing. So it's kind of up to you and your usage and how you want to, teach your table or your friends or your players how to use Fantasy Grounds. But we're going to go ahead and get into this. So, do you have any other comments, Lady Shell?
Actually, I do. Now, from what you just said, I would think that maybe we're not going to include this as part of our teaching a character creation 101. We'll just go with the old method, or will we be adding it as an additional, or maybe a separate class, CC 101A or something? If you don't have a lot of time and you want to learn really fast, we'll show you this way.
I haven't really thought about that as far as when, but as far as what, we will incorporate this, but we have to find a way to show them without taking a bunch of time that there are two different ways to do this. And I think by giving them exposure to the tool, it'll be better in the long run for everybody. But as far as learning fantasy grounds per se, this may not be a good thing because a lot of people use different systems, and not every system has a character wizard in it. So then it becomes more of a D&D thing and less of a fantasy grounds thing. And that would be also true of character creation for Pathfinder because they have their own character wizard as well. So it kind of takes away from that, but I think we will be incorporating it just for the sake of time. But there again, it just kind of steals the user experience with the actual overall interface. So we'll see. My guess is yes, we will include it. How, when, and where, and why, I'm not sure yet.
I
Um,
would think it would be when it's not in beta still, right?
correct. Yeah, that's another thing, guys, is and girls, is that this is a beta still. It's an extension. It's not actually embedded into the rule set yet. And I know that they do have plans in the future to include it in Unity. So don't expect for this extension to work with Unity. It's only for Classic right now. And that is mainly because when it was in development, that's what was available. So until they can port it over to Unity, you're stuck with Classic. But you could build your character in Classic and then import it into Unity. So it's not that bad, but that's kind of up to you. Neither here nor there. Okay, so Lady Shell and I already kind of played around with this yesterday. We made a third level ranger lizardman. His name was Lazarus, and I'm going to pull up the character generator as we speak. So right now, I'm in the character selection window, which is normally up in the top right of the interface. Right now, in my library, I have all of the major character creation books, and then some, and then I have some of Rob 2E's coding effects, and then I have some third-party DMs Guild stuff as well. So I have plenty of things to work on and work with. And then I also have the parcels active so that when we're done building the main part of the character, we can drag and drop the equipment. So that'll help speed things up. So normally it takes me about 30 minutes or so to make a fully fledged character, but since we're going to be taking time to do this, it might take a little longer. But from my initial estimate, it takes anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes off of your character build time. So if you're building this by yourself and you're not explaining and you're just kind of running with it, this tool will make things go a lot faster. And if you're a game master and you want people to make characters, this is awesome, especially if they already know what they're doing with the rules. This really speeds things up. So without further ado, we're going to get going on this thing. So in the character selection window, there's now a new button, and it has this little blue star. Now, mind you, I have the extensions loaded, and Lady Shell has a link that she's going to put in the chat for the extension. And what that does is it allows you to download it, and you have to put it in your extensions folder first. Once it's in your extensions folder, when you load up Fantasy Grounds, you want to check off the extension or at least select it before you go into your session. I would recommend putting it in a brand new session and just using that session to create characters with. That way, in case if it breaks your campaign or whatever you're working on, you don't have to worry about that as much. So Lady Shell will put a direct link to the extension. It is hosted officially on the official Fantasy Grounds forums. So if you are not a member of that, you need to sign up, get a username and a password, and then you'll have access to the forums. Also, you'll want to have content. So if you don't have a license or some kind of subscription, this probably won't do you a lot of good unless you're playing at somebody else's table that has this extension. All right, so and also remember this is beta, so it's not completely finished. So just to let you know that. All right, so once you have the character selection window up, instead of clicking the green plus button to add a new character, we're going to click on the little blue star, which is Open Character Wizard. And out pops this thing, which is the interface. So what it's having us do right now is it's saying to select a race on the bottom left corner. So is there any preference out there in our audience, or if not, then Lady Shell gets to pick the race?
Um, anybody?
Anybody have a race to start with, if you
Did you
want?
roll the stats? Oh, we're doing
Nope.
race first because
Yeah,
we're
we're
going in the order of what it says at the
correct.
top of the tabs.
That's right.
Anybody have a race? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to see a specific race being built with this tool, we can do that. And what's nice is you can go out of order. So someone said tiefling, so we can do that. Elf, we got an elf in there. Hey Tim Dog, hey Cyborg. Yeah, so elf tiefling. Okay. So Lady Shel, I want you to roll a dice, and that's what we'll do. I'll roll a dice here.
Where am I rolling a dice? I don't have a program open.
Well, I thought
Roll,
a
roll,
real
roll.
physical
Speed
dice.
10. Yeah.
I'll tell you
Oh,
what.
my physical dice are at my other house.
Okay. So I'm going to roll a d6. 1 to 3, it's going to be a tiefling. 4 to 6, it's going to be the elf. And it's a 4. So we're going to go with elf. So now I'm going to click on the subrace. It says elf. And up here, it's still asking for information. There's still an exclamation mark. So now it's telling me on the bottom left corner to select a subrace. So if you scroll down, now it's giving me a few subraces. So I have a dark elf, high elf, and wood elf. So anybody care to venture what type
Any
of
preference?
subrace? Either one or either of the three is fine. So dark elf, high elf, wood elf.
Dark elf.
Okay. So once you've satisfied the requirements, the little box up here will have a little, it's kind of hard to see it, but there's like up here on the top right corner of the builder, there is a race banner, and it is giving me the green check mark. So that means I satisfy the requirements for that specific part of the build. And on the right-hand side, it's showing us the name, the background. It's showing us the stats that it could potentially have for a standard array. But we're going to actually go to the stats next and roll. And it will still keep the Dark Elves consideration in there. And then
It
if you
also
want,
gives you a skill, too.
yeah, it gives you a skill of perception. Also, if you want to read about the Dark Elf, there's a direct link in this little subrace window. So if I open that up, that's where you can actually read from the book. So that's handy to have that link right there. So now we're going to go on to stats. So when I click on stats, it says that it's satisfied because it's already plugged in the standard array. But if you don't want to use the array, you have different options. So you have dice roll, manual entry, point by, and right now the standard array is selected by default. So we're going to do the dice roll, which automatically does 4d6 drop the lowest. As soon as I click or select that, it will roll. So let's see what we get. And let me clear the chat so you can see what's going on over here. I'm actually going to make this bigger so you guys can see the results. And now when I select dice roll, it's going to actually roll all of them at once. Woo! So that was an okay roll. It looks like I got an 8, a 12. And what these arrows are underneath the stats are you can shift the number over to the left or to the right. When I first started using this, I thought that was to increase the number in increments. Actually, it's just to shift the stat from left to right. So I really don't like that roll, so I'm going to roll again. So the methodology is 4d6, drop 1. You can change the number of dice rolled and the number of dice dropped. So I'm going to just hit reroll because I'm a cheater. That's a lot better. I think I'll keep that roll just to be on the safe side. So without knowing the class or anything, I think I'm just going to leave that like that. And below there, it shows the racial adjustment. So you're getting a 2 on deck. So that probably was a 10. And then you're getting a 1 on this bottom number. So that was probably, no, actually on the right-hand side, it shows the totals. So 16, 14, 11, 14, 14, 14.
Those are really good stats. I kind of don't like the 11 for con, though.
We can switch them around, but we have not picked our class yet. So until we pick our class, I don't want to move anything. So anybody have a suggestion for a class? We have a pretty good standard array going on right now. It doesn't seem overpowered. We didn't roll too high or too low. And don't forget, we have a +2 on Dex, +1 on Charisma. So that's our next thing is what class should we make this Dark Elf? Any ideas? Going once, going twice, thrice. Lady Shel, you get to pick the class.
Okay, so how about a sorcerer? Because
Sounds
sorcerers
great.
use charisma, and I believe they use dex too. Or do they use con?
They use con and charisma, I
Con
believe.
and charisma?
I think so.
If that's the case, perhaps we want to move the switch the intelligence and con around and put the 14 in con and 11 in intelligence.
Got it.
I mean, it still leaves you smart
And
enough,
do we
but
want to
you
put
know,
the switch the strength with the wisdom or the charisma?
uh,
Because he's got a 16 strength.
yes, yes. You don't need a 16th strength. 14 would be perfectly fine. I think you have to move them over like one at a time.
I
It's kind
see
of,
that.
yeah, I wish, or yeah, I don't know if you could just type in the number. Nah, that probably, I don't know.
There we go. But your con is messed up now. So we want a 14 con. There we go. And we can switch intelligence with wisdom. What do you think? No, because that's your perception and
I
yeah.
like wisdom to be
Yeah.
higher than intelligence unless
Yeah.
I'm a mage.
Correct. I agree with you. So the final stats are 12, 16, 14, 11, 13, and 17. That is our,
That is a really nice character.
yeah, it's not bad. So once we've satisfied the stats, then there's a little green check mark. Now I'm going to go to class, and Lady Shel picked a sorcerer, so I'm going to go down and pick sorcerer. Now it hasn't said anything, but it says to select skill proficiency and a specialization. So the proficiency says I have two choices. So I haven't picked anything yet. So I have Arcana, Deception, Insight, Religion, Persuasion, and Intimidation. And for being an elf, we automatically got Perception already.
I would think persuasion because it's charisma and your
Yep,
charisma is really nice.
yep.
And
Maybe Arcana or that's intelligence based. So
yeah, we lowered the intelligence, so probably
maybe
not
Insight or that's a
insight. Yes.
okay. So those are the skills, and if you double up, it will show that there's two of them. So if you accidentally pick the same thing twice, it'll list it over here. Now you don't have to worry as much about doubling up on your skills. So that's a nice thing. Now we have to pick our specialization. So we have Storm Sorcery, Draconic, Wild Magic, Shadow Magic. That sounds cool. And Divine Soul. Let's do Shadow Magic. I haven't ever even seen that.
I like shadow magic, especially because it's already a dark elf, so that sounds kind of
Yeah,
dark
I like
itself.
it.
I could be wrong, but I think that's what.
Yeah, Shadow Magic. So this is what we're going to have for the sorcerers, a Shadow Magic sorcerer.
Could we look at the information about it so we can
That's a good idea.
see?
Let's see.
Yeah.
Specialization of a. Okay. Now, see, here's where you need to know how to use Fantasy Grounds, and this doesn't really give you that, that knowledge. This just says pick this, pick that. So I'm going to go into classes, and I'm going to go down to sorcerer, and I'm not sure which book that's from. I'm going to assume it's Xanathar's or something like that, or Face of
Yeah,
the
I don't
Forgotten
think it's
Realms.
player's handbook one.
Nope, that's Oozborn and Psionic. Okay, so it's got to be Xanathar's. Yeah, Shadow Magic. See, now I wish if they had the button down here for it like they did on the other, so you can read right from here instead of coming over. So that would be helpful. I think I will put that in my requests for the builder.
Also, the proficiency doesn't give you any chance to figure out what it is either. If you
Mm-hmm.
didn't know that perception, well, not perception, if you didn't know that persuasion was charisma, you wouldn't know,
Yep.
which one you would want to take.
Right. Let's see. So it says that you get Eyes of the Dark, so that gives you better vision in the dark. That doesn't help the Dark Elves
Oh,
that
that doesn't
much.
help him because he's already got the superior dark.
Strength of the Grave. That gives you, a way to get your hit points back. And at 6th level, you get Hound of Ill Omen. Let me look at Eyes of the Dark. You have a 120-foot range. Now, Dark Elves already have that, so you're really not gaining anything there. But we'll keep it. It's no big deal. I mean, you are kind of wasting a feature on something that you already have, though.
What other ones were the choices?
You have Divine Soul, Wild Magic, Draconic, and Storm. I think
Well, I
Storm
don't think
sounds
he would be divine.
no, and
And Storm
Storm,
sounds like somebody that's a drow elf is not going to have
yeah,
Storm because it's not out.
yeah. So any of those three,
Wild magic is the only other option.
yeah. So we're gonna make him a Wild Mage instead. So that'll be more chaotic. So I
Can
like
you
that.
load the wild mage? The table for wild magic thing, so we can see just what one of those does. I mean, I know he's not going to be playing or anything, but I'm just,
Right.
to
So
show people
Warlock.
what kind of things that can come up when you cast a spell that you might have happen to you.
I'm surprised that's not in the.
You're looking under warlock, you're supposed to be under sorcerer.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Sorcerer. Okay. So if you pick Wild Magic, every time you cast a spell, you have it, well, at least a first level and higher. Yeah, it says starting when you choose this origin at first level, your spell casting unleashes untamed magic. So if you cast a spell at first level or higher, you have to roll on a d20. There's a table, and whatever it is, whatever comes up, comes up. So you have this wild magic table. And once you cast a spell, you immediately roll after. And in this case, it says you grow a long beard made of feathers that remains until you sneeze, at which point the feathers explode from your face.
Who makes these things up? That's
I don't
pretty
know.
cool.
I don't know. But there's some weird stuff that happens. So I kind of like that. So, yes, wild magic it is. So we have satisfied the class requirements now. If you can see, it's green. And what's nice is you can do this in any order and it doesn't break anything, at least potentially. Now, if you want to level up, you can actually select 3rd level. So no more dragging and dropping 50 times. You can just select 3rd level. And if there's any new requirements meant to be made, you'll have a little exclamation. So now that we're 3rd level, really simple. You don't have to do much. So that's that. So if you want to look up Sorcerer, there's a link here directly to the Sorcerer. So I would really like to have that link for the subclass, but that's just me. Okay, so now we're going to go to background. So we can click on background and we need to select a background that goes with this build. So maybe Far Traveler, or maybe an agent, or maybe a spy, or perhaps a noble. Maybe
Why not a noble?
yeah,
Drows can be
yeah,
part of the noble houses, so he
yeah,
could be a noble or
that's
she.
right. So he is a noble from one of the upper houses. Probably an outcast now because he's a sorcerer. But nonetheless, he was a noble when he started. And now it has some choices to pick down below. So right now I haven't satisfied the requirements for the background. So I need to pick an additional language. Right now I have Common and Elvish. Well, right off the get-go, I'd say Undercommon.
I would say undercommon too.
And then tool set proficiency. It has a dart and board set, a dice set, dragon chess, uh, some weird other things, playing card set. Three Dragon Ante, which is a card set. So we need to pick a game set, basically.
Anyone have a preference?
I think he's dice or cards, to be honest. Dice sounds more easier to deal with. I'm just going to give him a dice set. All right, so that adds to his skills. And if you look here, look, I have 2 persuasions. So I have, and it says duplicates on the skills. So I need to go back to, and see, that's why when I picked this background, it gave me persuasion. So it will let you know now that you've doubled up on these 2. So I need to go
I
back.
really like that because, the small text down there, your persuasion, you might miss that. But
Mm-hmm.
the big text that's in capital letters, duplicates, let you know,
Yep,
hey, you've got something that's, you're wasting your skill.
that's right. So now you know that you need to go back and fix that. So somewhere in the class area, I need to go back and pick something
That's the
else.
only bad part, huh?
Yeah.
Was it maybe, did we? No, we got perception
And
when
we
we
got
picked the
persuasion.
waste.
Yeah.
So it, oh, did you get persuasion on that
Yeah.
level? Okay.
Yeah. So we didn't know what we're gonna
So what
get.
should we choose instead?
Maybe intimidate or deception.
Yeah, because you're still working with your charisma. That makes sense.
There we go. So here's deception. So now should be satisfied. Let's see. And we need to pick wild magic again. There we go. So now we have it balanced out and fixed. So it was giving me errors down below, let me know that I have doubled up on something. So that's handy. So once you've gone to that point, the next step, once you've got all the main stuff in, you can go to inventory and you can actually come through here and filter by the list and drag and drop equipment from up here, which is the list that you have loaded in your library, and you can drag and drop from here into your inventory. I'm not going to do that. I would prefer to do it the old way. So I'm going to hit save, and that's because I already have the race, the stats, the class, and the background figured out. It does have provisions for inventory, spells, and feats if that's applicable. And there's a couple blank squares for future, future in case they need to add any additional functions. But I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Once you hit save, it commits you to all these different changes that you've made. You want to double check and make sure all these stats and class and backgrounds and whatever you have are satisfied. Inventory, spells, and feats are mainly just a choice. So those aren't going to really keep track of anything other than what you chose. So the main thing are these first 4.
However, I would like to see how it works so that
Okay.
we can at least, because I've
Okay.
never used the inventory part, and I'm just curious how it works. If it's
Okay.
like it must be one by one where you pick your stuff. I'm not
So I'm
sure.
going to pick a dice set. So I'm going to pick dice. I'm going to type it up here.
So that's your search function right there in the top.
Yes, and it says filter by. And then you have gear, weapons, and armor. So maybe I will go to weapons. Okay. I'm going to pick a dagger. And I just did DAG, and I was able to grab the dagger. So all you have to do is drag and drop the dagger down below. And then you have costs, which I'm not sure if that works yet. Um, okay, and for a sorcerer, I probably want a quarterstaff.
So it's not going to give you the see, when you do this manually, you would look up your class and your background and see what it tells you. So
Right.
Is this going to be like, I know some games when you join someone's game, they give you a certain amount of coins and
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, you can buy what you need.
Right.
I'm guessing this is more like,
Yeah, because it has platinum pieces, gold, silver, copper. I don't see Electrum up here. I'm not sure how this is implemented, but I was able to drag a dagger. It doesn't keep track of any of that. And to be honest, you're still going to have to look up your class to see what your starting equipment is for first level. So this is okay. This is just kind of incorporates the, your class and level. And so honestly, I don't know if this is the way I would go, but I'm going to jump to spells because this is actually applicable. So I'm going to go right now it's on cantrips and it says 4 of 4 available. So I need to drag and drop spells from my cantrips. So I'm going to
I
go with,
really like that it tells you how many that you get,
mm-hmm,
because a lot of times I have to go back into the
right.
class or whatever and see, and then you have to scroll all over the place
That's
looking
right.
for where it actually tells you. So that's very handy. And
Yep.
I agree with you. I don't really care for the inventory part.
Yeah, yeah,
It's kind of question mark.
yeah. They'll improve that, but until then, I'm not going to use that part of it. So I'm going to go ahead and get the Firebolt, Mage Hand. I like Mending, but I'm not going to get it. Minor Illusion might be a thing. And maybe Shocking Grasp. So now that I've done that, that satisfies my cantrips. So now I click on level 1, and it says 0 of 4. So now I need to grab my first level spells. So what do you think? Chaos Bolt.
Magic missile, of course.
Yeah. And see, now I've already used 2 spells out of 4 total. So I will
Great.
pick one more first level spell, and then I'll look at the second level ones.
Oh, it's four total. I thought it was
Yep.
four for that level.
No,
Okay,
it's
I
4
gotcha.
total.
Thunder wave, maybe?
Yeah, that's a good
Nah, not
spell.
for, well, I
Witch
don't know.
Bolt.
Witch bolt. I like witch
Yeah.
bolt. Okay, I'll tell you what I don't like is that when you drag it in there, it's only going in alphabetical order. It's not showing you which level
It
the
is
spells
actually
are.
in the
Oh,
center.
is it?
It says
Oh, I
cantrip and
see
it
the
says
center.
level
I
1.
do see that.
Yeah.
But are they all stuck in one area, or are they just, they look like they're,
They're
oh no, I
level.
guess they are.
Yeah.
You're right, they
Yep.
are. I thought they were in alpha order.
Yeah. So we have Blur, Crown of Madness. It sounds good. I like that one. But you have Darkness, Dark Vision. You got to remember that Drow already have some innate abilities, so anything you do with Darkness is probably going to be handled. Shadow Blade, Spider Climb, Suggestion. I like Web. That does a lot of cool stuff.
Web would be really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll drag that down. All right. So all the spells are satisfied now. And if you had a feat, you could pick that, but it says this character does not have available feats. So it tells you don't have that choice. So the only thing I think they need to work on, honestly, is a little bit bigger window because right now it's kind of, you can't expand it right now. It won't let you make it bigger or smaller, and the inventory part. But everything else seems to be pretty self-explanatory.
Even though they don't let you make it bigger, they've got that little triangle thing in the corner that makes it look like you should be able to make it bigger.
Right, and I think that may be something
It's
they'll
deceiving. Maybe it's, yeah, planned
future.
for later.
Yeah,
Hey, it's beta. You got to expect
that's true.
future.
So once I have the spells, we didn't really do much with inventory because that looks like a real pain, and it doesn't keep track of anything or give you a list of what you're able to pick from. So what I'd like to do is hit save, assuming that we got everything that we're going to get out of this character builder. And now it just pops you over to the actual character sheet. So it's done, a majority of the work. So now all I got to do is just double check my stuff, which it looks great. You have a dice
That's
set.
not bad for an elf to
Mm-mm.
have 20 hit points. You said this. Oh, we're at level 3. Never mind.
Yep.
I take that back. 20 hit points at level 3 is kind of wimpy. He does
Yeah.
have a good con too, or
Yeah. And then you have this inventory here where we, as in Lady Shel and I, we like to use this third level or third party extension. So he was a noble. So what we're going to do is instead of dragging every single item over one at a time, we're just going to use this background and equipment module. So this case, this is for the noble. So if I drag and drop it, that's going to put all this equipment in here that goes to that background. And now I'm going to select the class, which is a sorcerer. And I ended up getting 2 daggers because remember I picked the one, so that's fine. There's actually 3 daggers here. So I will delete one of those. And then you got your other weapons and gear that goes along with this. So it makes this a lot quicker. You still have to organize your inventory, but at least you have everything, that you're going to need. You have light crossbow. I think we need a case for the crossbow, and that may be the only thing that's missing. And then, of course, if we don't have the dice set, because did I pick one? I thought I did. Oh, I
I
didn't
think you
drag it.
search for it. You search for it, but I don't think you found it.
Yeah. See, and I checked for set, but it didn't pull it up for some reason. So I'm going to grab the dice set and drop it over there. And then I'm also going to grab a case. So this is the crossbow case for your player.
I always think it's funny that when you get a crossbow, it never gives you the case, but when you get a longbow or short bow, it gives you the quill
The
or
quiver.
quiver, not quill, quiver.
And also when you have a sling and bullets, you should be getting a pouch to carry the bullets in.
That's true. Are you gonna carry them in your hand or
Yeah,
something?
it's crazy. So this character is close to being completed. I mean, you have your equipment. I haven't organized the equipment yet, but that's fine. We haven't done the notes for the background yet. I think they should add that actually to the character builder. I think that'd be much easier to do in the character builder. Um, the log sheet, this is for Adventure League, so we don't have to mess with that. And the actions tab's pretty much ready to go. I mean, besides customizing, you're going to add equipment and it'll appear here if it's equipped, and then you just add your ammo, and then you go for this is a spellcaster. So right now I'm in standard and display as group. So if I change this to preparation, I'm just going to prepare all 4 of these spells because that's how many I get to choose from. But that's also I can cast up to whatever it gives me for my class. So if I go to combat and actions, there's my cantrips. As you can see, I don't have them memorized or prepared yet. So let me see what's happening here. So I went ahead and prepared these. And if I go
I'm
to,
wondering why the spell slots doesn't. Oh, shouldn't it show you that you have
yeah,
3
you would think.
spells or something or whatever?
Yeah, I don't know. So standard, yeah, for some reason when I'm in combat, it's not showing. So let me check these off. Let's see if that helps. Yeah, that's really weird.
Beta.
Yep. So let me see what happens if I drag it over from the regular list. So prep and group, combat, standard mode. Okay, here's standard mode and actions. So not sure what's happening here, but when you're in combat mode, you should be able to have these spells if you have them memorized. Let me see. Yeah, it's based on charisma, so it's right there. Yep. Now I'm going to change it to combat mode, and they're gone as if I casted it. So it's almost like I'm missing the spells, the feature or the ability. Yeah, spell casting's there, so it's on there. So I don't know, but I will go ahead and take the spells, and I'm going to filter them, and I want to go to, we'll just say level 1, and then I'm going to change the source to a sorcerer. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and drag a copy of Chaos Bolt over here, but I'm going to go into combat mode where they're not showing. So let me see if this works. Yeah, that's really weird. So once I drug that over, it actually made the rest of them show up.
So basically, something to do with the wizard. It's a little bug that needs to
Yeah,
be reported.
because once I drug over that duplicate, everything shows up now. So it's almost like the lookup feature doesn't do that until it recognizes that you've picked spells, and then it starts showing everything. So let me look again. So yeah, Chaos Bolt, and then I go to combat. You see it's still not showing the ones that I drug over, which is really weird. So I go to Chaos Bolt, and I go to, let's see. See, now it's showing it twice. So that's, something's buggy there. So I haven't read the wiki guide, like I haven't looked to see if there's any known issues. This might be something they already know about. So that's the
I
other thing.
would say for now, I recommend not doing your spells or your inventory
Yep.
in the wizard. Do everything else,
Right.
and then do your spells and your inventory manually.
Yep. So this is one thing that needs a little work, but other than that, it's pretty good. So that's cool. What you could do here to make this life easier on you is you could take these spells that I have in the standard mode, and what you could do is drag and drop them onto your hotkeys. And then you can delete these from your current character sheet just because it's kind of working not so great. And then go back to adding them manually. So see, that didn't work either. That's really weird. Huh.
Maybe because those links that you had were from the wizard.
It says
Have you been at
unable
the
to
wizard?
open window using
Oh,
wildcard link because no module containing that link is open. Check your active library. So
well,
let's check
that's
it
weird
out.
because you didn't close anything.
I know. So we'll not worry about that aspect of it. So like Lady Shel said, I would pick the spells, not randomly, but from the actual um, doing it the old way instead of doing it from the character generator. Because something is goofy there.
Well, anyway, as of now, I mean, who knows when somebody might be watching this video in the future, it might
You're
be
right.
working fine then. But as of now, on May 24th, 2020, it's still a beta program and it is not working totally correct.
So let me try from another source. So here's Firebolt. Let me go to there, level 1. So one of the ones we picked was Chromatic Orb, I think. Level 1 Sorcerer. Magic Missile was one. Yeah, something's not quite right. So, yep, something ain't right. But anyways, I would just do the first parts of the character. But I don't know if that breaks it again for every other character, if you know what I'm saying. So after you hit save and it exports it out to a character, I don't know if that's. Let me see if I prepare it if that changes it. Nope. So something ain't right. All right. So we found something that we need to report to the forum. So the right thing to do would be to march my little butt over to the website and let them know that there's something goofy going on with the spells, and maybe provide screenshots and whatever sources you were using, and perhaps even the copy of your character. So I
Point to
might,
this video.
yeah. Well, I can send them the XML file. I can export it at this point, and then I can also send them a list of the content I was using, and also the build number, and those things would help troubleshoot what's going on. So that's the only way they're going to fix it is unless we report it, they're not going to know. So I think I will report this to the proper authorities. So that's that. So if there's any questions about the character builder, let's talk about it now. I think we've been close to an hour or so. Anybody?
45 minutes, actually.
Yeah, we're getting there. Can you plug a few things for us while we're here? So while we have everybody, so we have our Founders Day. Um, do we have a link for that?
I didn't grab that link. Let me
That's
go
okay.
get that.
Well, let's get you a link that you do have. So if you want to experiment with the character builder and don't rely on it just yet, Lady Shell has a link for that.
I just posted that.
Okay. And then if you're not a part of our Fantasy Grounds College community, we do stuff like this all the time where we're teaching and learning and experimenting, obviously, and we're trying to get people aware of the product and how it works and when it doesn't. We want you guys to game. Ultimately, that's our goal. Is we want you guys to get together and play, and we're going to take some of the learning aspects of it and make it a little easier on you. So if you haven't joined us yet, please do so. We have a link that I will put in the chat. And Lady Shell actually has a link to the extension. So, Lou, could it be that the wizard isn't recognizing? No, it's actually tried a different spell, Lou, and it didn't work. Let's see. Someone else asked. That's the link download to the program. Yeah, that's for
That
the
was me.
extension. Yeah, that's for the extension. And then we have our Fantasy Grounds College Founders Day coming up at the end of July. So we're hoping to get a bunch of DMs together to run some games. And once we have that established, which is soon, we're going to be releasing that really soon, like next week.
Right. Right
For
now, you can go to that link that I just posted and you can tell us if you think you might want to participate by running a game or games. Um, but in a couple weeks,
or less.
we will or less we will have a another link. We might no, I won't use the same link. I'm going to use a different link, and we'll have where you can tell us exactly what you want to run, so that we can plan, how many of whatever rule set, because we will accept any rule set. We will accept classic or unity, whatever you would like to run, and we want to keep track of this and make a list, and so that we can tell people, what to expect. And then maybe by the beginning of July you can start posting. I mean, you can post anytime, but if you post your game too far ahead, people aren't going to know what they're going to do, more than a month away.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's better to post, no sooner than the beginning of July. And even
Hmm.
that is a little close to, I mean, too far away from the actual dates, which are the 24th to the 26th of July. And then we also have a contest going on where we are going to be giving away 2 copies of either a standard Unity license or a standard Classic license, and all you have to do to enter the contest is go to this page and click on the app that's in there, and there's one question that we ask you to answer, and then you can pick the many ways. There's up to 10 ways that you can enter the contest, and I will post that link just a second.
So Zerbius, you asked what kind of games are you wanting people to run. You can run pretty much anything you want as long as it's fantasy grounds. One shots are preferred, but if you want to do a 3-shot or something that can go over the weekend, that's fine. We can't stop that. What we're trying to do is make sure that people get a chance to play. And normally in our community, we're mostly focused on teaching. We do have 1-shots in practice games, but for the weekend of Founders Day, our goal is to get as many games going as possible. There might be a couple lessons going on during the day, but for the most part, it's going to be games and hopefully a couple prizes. And usually we end up doing all the announcements and prize out giving is the prize giving will be done usually on the All Things Fantasy Grounds show, which will, yeah, cool. And Zerbius will have that the actual sign up form for your actual event real soon. The thing that we put out now is just that's great. The thing that we put out now is just so you can show interest in the event itself. And next, we will put out the actual DM sign up, which will be in about a week or so. And then a couple weeks before the event, we will open it up for people that want to sign up for your games. So that's how we're going to do it. So we're going to give the DMs a couple week head start, or actually several weeks head start, and then we'll unload and unleash for the population to sign up.
Actually, you can't stop people from signing up for the game as soon as the DM posts it, but also keep in mind on your application when you finally do fill out your event. If you are planning on streaming it, make sure you mention that you will be streaming it. If you're streaming it with cameras, face cams, please mention that so that people know what to expect and are not surprised by signing up for your game and then the day of the game starts and they did not realize that they were going to be on camera and they don't want to be on camera and you lose someone from your game. So you have to make sure you give all the details when you make your post.
And we do have resources on how to use our calendar and training videos and documents and all sorts of things. So shouldn't be too bad. I think the only thing they might struggle with is the time thing, but other than that, it should be good. So I think that's a wrap, Lady Shel. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? We talked about the character generator. Um, we talked about our events. We talked about our contest. We gave out links for where to find the extension for the new character builder beta. We discovered a bug that we need to report. Anything else, Lady Shel?
I can't think of anything. I wanted to thank everybody that did join us in our stream and gave us some not tips, but some suggestions for what kind of character to make. And we thank you for coming, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your.
The rest of your weekend.
Well, it's the end of the weekend, so there's only a day pretty
Well, some
much.
of us have Monday off, so
Oh,
just to
that's
let you know.
true. Memorial Day for
Yeah,
people that are in the U.S.
that's right.
Okay.
All right. Hopefully, you guys find some games and have a good day off tomorrow if you're off. If not, we'll see you next week in the community and take care, you guys.